One of the most important building blocks to become a good performer is to have an understanding of how rhythm works. Working on your rhythmic basics is going to be something that is going to help you throughout your playing. The first thing we need to do is to understand how to keep your place in the measure, and that's sort of understanding, oh, we're in 4/4 time, we have 4 beats in the measure, and really feeling where 1, 2, 3, 4 is as you're able to play. And this may seem very, very simple and easy to you, but it isn't so easy for every player. So really understanding how that works for you. Is this something that gives you a hard time? Can really help you. If understanding your place in the measure is difficult for you, taking the instrument off your face and singing the rhythms while you're still in your mind counting to understand your place in the measure can simplify things a little bit and help you to understand how you can play more rhythmically and where you are in the bar. The next technique to understand in rhythm is to understand the difference between simple meter and compound meter. Simple meter, of course, being a meter that has something like a 2, a 4, or an 8, mostly 2 and 4 as the numerator. So 2/2, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, things that have 8th note and 16th note subdivisions. Compound meters also are more tricky, it seems, because they're involved in triplet subdivisions, 6/8, 12/8, anything with that 8th note pulse on the bottom. And knowing how to make the rhythm work differently between simple meter and compound meter can be very, very difficult. The secret, of course, to understanding all parts of rhythm, but especially understanding the difference between simple and compound meter, is to work on subdividing. Now, subdividing can also seem like a simple topic. You're going to think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just to understand what is going on in the middle of those beats. But knowing that and being able to put it into practice are two very different things. So what we do to try to make it easier to understand this rhythm and to understand subdivision is to practice with a metronome. Now, I have to tell you, when I was younger, I took my metronome with me everywhere, and this was in an age where we didn't have little pocket metronomes and iPhone apps. We had metronomes that you plugged in, they were bulky, and it was really a pain to carry them around. But I made sure to always have it with me and always have it going when I was practicing technical things. It helped me to really get a sense of where pulse is. But one thing I've noticed in hearing players who don't necessarily have the most developed rhythm is that they can have a metronome going, but they don't really play with it. They aren't paying attention to the metronome. And you can't really learn how to play in rhythm with a metronome without really playing with it, actually sort of playing a duet with a metronome. So I'd like to show you some ways in working with a click to work on being able to feel the rhythm and understanding a subdivision. So let's go ahead and set a metronome at 72, and we're going to work on feeling subdivision. I'm going to start with some quarter notes. Now, to be able to play those quarter notes accurately, what I'm thinking about is the subdivision of eighths underneath. Even though I'm playing ba, 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 I'm thinking ba, 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 ba. I'm thinking of that subdivision, that faster pulse underneath. Let me demonstrate that again. And that helps a lot just to understand that there's a lot of rhythm going on even when you have slow notes. If you're playing a bunch of half notes, you'll subdivide at least quarters, maybe eighth notes. If you have whole notes, you've got to subdivide quarter notes. Just the way to feel a quicker pulse underneath, because we just can't trust ourselves to feel a very slow pulse without having it vacillate too much. It just moves around. Another thing in practicing with a metronome is taking a simple click and then playing more quickly with that click. And so here we go again. So here I moved out of quarter notes into eighth notes, from eighth notes to sixteenths, then back to eighths, and then back to quarters. All the while trying to use the quickest subdivision that I could so that things stayed in rhythm. Now to do that in compound meter allows us to move in and out of triplets. So here we go with triplets. Hearing the click sort of gets into your soul. It gets into the back of your brain. It keeps that pulse going on. One thing that I've noticed a lot about classically trained musicians is that we don't really feel time as strongly as people who are trained in more commercial, jazz, rock sorts of playing, because they always have a rhythm section going. They're always hearing the click provided by the rhythm section, bass and drums working together to give us that basis. In classical music, we don't have that. So it requires us to be more rhythmic, to generate that rhythm from inside. So understanding what that subdivision is, how to play with a metronome, how to feel that click even when it's not going, when it's not being provided for us, but by having practiced with it so much that you feel that pulse strongly, will give you the kind of rhythmic basis that will allow you to successfully play solo repertoire and also to play successfully in an ensemble. It's a big deal, so make sure you always practice with your metronome.